You know, Zaid, lowering the gaze was a lot easier when you just had to avoid bumping into someone in the marketplace.
Yeah, now the marketplace is in your pocket and the vendors are all Instagram models.
And somehow they all know exactly what you like. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hiba.
And I'm Zaid,
You're listening to Diary of a Matchmaker.
a podcast that will take you into our world as matchmakers.
We'll share our experiences and offer advice for the single Muslim.
So let's dive in. Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to another episode of Diary of a Matchmaker.
Assalamu alaikum.
So our apologies. Last week we were just so overwhelmed and our schedule got so busy that we were unable to record and release an episode last week.
Yeah.
But we always and will always continue to do our best to release an episode weekly. So our apologies.
So what were we busy doing last week?
So last week was a very rare and wonderful opportunity that came along our way, which was getting interviewed on another podcast called the Digital Sisterhood.
Yeah, and if you know anything about the digital sisterhood, you know how big it is, mashallah, how successful they are, and what amazing team they are.
MashaAllah, yeah. So their kind of thing is storytelling. I believe it's Muslim storytellers, correct?
Yeah.
So definitely check that out on Spotify. I don't know if they're on other platforms, but they're definitely on Spotify. So check them out.
I think it's coming out in November.
Oh, you mean our episode? Yes, our episode is coming out in November sometime, but we'll keep you guys posted about that, inshallah.
Yeah.
Today's topic is something that really does hit home for me. I grew up in a very conservative environment. I went to a private Islamic school for elementary, junior high, and high school. And my Islamic school was connected to the masjid. So my world was just girls in hijab. Most of my teachers were Muslim. My Islamic studies teacher would sometimes be the imam. And so naturally, when you're transitioning from junior high to high school, lowering the gaze becomes like very, not just a hot topic, but something that's very strictly enforced.
Okay. So they actually used to talk to you about this in school?
Not necessarily talk about it, but it was more like you were shamed for not doing it to an extent. And I would say it was, and it kind of tied into segregation too. So in the classroom, it would always be guys on one side of the classroom, girls on the other side. You'd get into trouble if you were talking to girls,
Really?
outside of class.
Wow.
And it was just kind of like a very ostracized thing. Like, you just do not talk to girls.
We didn't have this in the faculty of Sharia.
So you guys would openly talk to girls?
Yeah,
In the hallway and stuff?
like you're not talking and giggling and laughing and stuff, but you can talk to guys. Usually it's stuff that's related to the courses and studies and stuff, but you talk to guys.
Would you guys ever collaborate with the opposite gender on assignments or projects and stuff?
I don't remember, honestly. I think it would be uncommon.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but it was healthy interaction.
Okay, well, I don't want you guys to get it wrong. It's not like my school was Saudi Arabia. Saudi, I think some time ago, they had the haram police, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Where it was just it was very strict, and you would pretty much go to prison for the slightest thing.
الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like that, but there was a shame factor definitely that was there, that was definitely prevalent there in high school. So why am I bringing this up? Because today's topic is about lowering the gaze. And lowering the gaze is, of course, that's something that is mentioned in the Quran. Would you mind sharing the ayah?
Yeah, of course. I'm pretty sure most Muslims know it. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل للمؤمنين يغضوا من أبصارهم ويحفظوا فروجهم ذلك أزكى لهم إن الله خبير بما يصنعون. وقل للمؤمنات يغضضن من أبصارهن ويحفظن فروجهن. And then the rest of the ayah ولا يبدين زينتهن إلا ما ظهر منها. In Surah Nur.
Yes, and it translates says?
It says, of course, tell the believing men to lower from their gaze يغضوا من أبصارهم.
Okay.
And protect their private parts. And same thing for women, to lower from their gaze and protect their private parts.
And I noticed as you were translating that you emphasize from their gaze. And what's the reason for that?
Because the ayah doesn't tell you to like go blind or like look down while you're walking, or while you're talking to the opposite gender. Lower from your gaze, not lower your gaze, your full gaze. Because life will force you, of course, to have healthy interaction, whether it's like with your professor or with a vendor, or I don't know, in the like office or the hospital, whatever. You do need to have like a certain type of interaction, eye contact with the opposite person.
Right.
But it's about how you look. I think it's more about how you look.
Definitely.
You're looking with lust, or you're looking just to keep a normal like conversation.
Yeah, and I think back on my childhood, and the problem is that these verses, like this is a classic example of something that is just taken, copy and paste, and it's not applied in context. And so I remember when I didn't even know the verse, but I just knew that you have to lower your gaze. So I would see my fellow classmates just looking down on the floor as they were talking to a female teacher, or if I was talking to, like I remember one of the students I was teaching, whenever I would talk to his mom, I would look down, just look at the floor, and it was just this feeling of, like, it just doesn't feel right, like feeling of awkwardness, like something is off. And now when you're putting it in context, and when have a better, alhamdulillah, better understanding of Islam, it makes sense that the religion doesn't operate in a vacuum, right? It operates within a context. And the context, obviously, especially living in the West, is that, of course, you're going to be interacting with the opposite gender. You're going to be working with them as colleagues, as classmates, whatever it might be. And it forms boundaries.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that in a second.
And you know what? Like, even if you're not interacting with anyone, you're just walking down the street. Like here, it's normal to have like women walking in mini shorts and tank tops and stuff like that. So how are you gonna walk like looking down, bumping into stuff? Like it just is not practical.
And you know in your mind, in your heart, that looking at something like that is wrong. So obviously, if you see that, then you look away. It's a very simple thing.
Exactly. The problem these days, I feel, is not in lowering the gaze when you're like outside, because like we said in the intro, it's in your pocket. You can like stay home for the entire year, but it'll creep up on you on your phone.
Exactly. And the other thing I want to add to that is that, and I was kind of a victim of this too, and other friends have shared this also, that when you grow up in a very strict environment where everything is just about lowering the gaze, and then you transition to university, and then at that time you're considering marriage, it's not a switch, right? You can't just suddenly flip the switch and say, okay, now I need to look up and be aware of my environment because now I'm considering a suitable spouse, right? And university is the best place for that, right? Because you're interacting with the opposite gender. But if you're constantly lowering the gaze and you're not observing or being observant to the opposite gender, then you're not taking advantage of the opportunity that's there to, pursue the next step in your life, which is marriage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it really sets you up at a disadvantage at the same time.
Yeah.
But there's a wonderful story in the Seerah that kind of encapsulates this, right? Can you share that, please?
Yeah. So it's actually a funny story. The Sahabi Al-Fadl ibn Abbas was with the Prophet. I believe they were like sitting on a camel or something. And a woman came to the Prophet to ask him a question. And apparently she was beautiful. And Al-Fadl ibn Abbas, he was a young man, and he kept looking at her. And the Prophet...
I think from what I heard, like his jaw dropped and like his pupils dilated.
I don't know about that. But the Prophet just simply turned his head.
Right.
And then he looked again. And the Prophet kept...
Oh, really? I didn't know it happened more than once.
I believe 3 times maybe. Wow. But the beautiful thing, every time the Prophet ﷺ kept like turning his head. He didn't rebuke. What's the word? Rebuke
or shame him.
He didn't shame him. Exactly. Yeah. So it's about the approach.
Yeah.
And just before, it tells you that like this is a natural thing we have, which doesn't mean like we should just ignore it completely. But even the best of us, the Sahaba, when he was sitting behind the Prophet ﷺ, he couldn't help himself.
Yeah. It's a very natural thing.
Yeah.
So it's needless to say that we live in visual overload. This, like, we're living in the digital age, the Instagram world, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. So placing safeguards and boundaries is, I would argue, even more imperative now than in previous generations, right? So how do we manage that? How do we do that? That's the $1 million question, I guess.
If we're talking about your device, your phone, then it's about curating your feed in a way that helps you achieve that. So if you're like all the accounts you're following are like, I don't know, beauty influencers and models and stuff, whether you're a man or a woman, by the way, like it's the same thing. Maybe it's a little bit harder for men, but women as well, we appreciate beauty. But if that's all you're following, then don't say, oh, why is it hard to, like, why is it every time I go on Instagram, I see, I don't know, a model or so. It's about like you training the algorithm, because the algorithm is working against you.
Yeah, so even, and that's not just social media, even YouTube, right? YouTube will feed you what you want to see.
Yeah.
So if you're watching a video about a swimsuit model, you're going to keep getting that.
I know,
So,
I keep getting videos and shorts about cats.
Exactly. Like, alhamdulillah, like I'm pretty conscious and aware of what's happening in Gaza and the West Bank. So my feed is constantly about what's the latest news, what's happening. And so it feeds me what I'm looking for. So be aware of that.
And you know what's the tricky part? Like sometimes even if you're following Islamic accounts, it could fall into that, not that category, astaghfirullah, you're not following morals, but it could, what is the word? You could fall into the same trap. Because everything today is about aesthetics, even Islamic content, right?
Yeah.
So you see that hijabi influencer or like hijabi da'iya or whatever, and she looks perfect, mashallah, with the perfect hijab, the perfect eyebrows, and she looks beautiful without makeup. Maybe she's applying filters, maybe not. And the same thing, you see the da'i or like the speaker, and he has the perfect beard and the perfect smile and with the music and the effects. And so it like feeds into your head that this is what to look for, or this is the average, this is the normal.
Right. And so there's a distinction that needs to be made between temptation and fixation, right? Temptation is natural, right? Yeah. Which you just shared in that story about, what was his name?
Al-Fadl ibn Abbas.
Al-Fadl ibn Abbas. So he was kind of reacting out of temptation. But fixation is cultivated. Temptation is natural.
You work on it. The fixation, you bring it, you produce it.
Right.
Yeah.
So temptation is natural. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us ways to channel temptation and desire through halal and appropriate means. But our fixation is something that can go up and down, and that needs to be worked on. Ibn al-Qayyim said that the gaze is the messenger of desire. And who's Ibn al-Qayyim?
Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyya, of course, a famous scholar.
I mean, for people who don't know. I don't like to quote people I don't know much about, but for people who don't know, a famous scholar. So he said that once you let it deliver its message, the heart responds and the soul follows. What else can you add to that?
I think it's self-explanatory. It's very deep, but it tells you that you are in control. Like, because after you let out your gaze, you are not in control of what you're saying. Or like after you see whatever you see, you can control your heart.
Okay.
What you can control is your eyes. And like we said, if we're talking about like social media, what you follow, what you keep seeing, you can control that.
Yeah.
But after you keep seeing these images, then don't say, oh, like, I can't help it. I can't stop thinking about it, because you allowed it.
But the other part that I want to bring up, I always hear this as a criticism against guys, which is guys are the ones that need to lower their gaze, and it's almost as if girls don't need to. And so it's the commandment. I mean, the verse you just shared is a commandment for both genders.
Same thing,
right?
Same words, yes.
Right? Because desire and lust works across both genders.
Yes, absolutely. Like I
Right?
said, women appreciate beauty, and just like men can't control after they see something, they can't control how their heart feels. It's the same thing for women. But I think for women, especially these days,
Yeah.
more than desiring looking at men, they desire the attention. For women, it's about being desired, that validation.
Right.
Like those likes and comments. So, oh, you
And
look
the
so
DMs,
beautiful. You drop that gorgeous diva, whatever. Like, you can't help.
I see that a lot with Gen Zs.
Right?
Yeah.
No. I think this is older. I think Gen Z has their own terms these days. We're just not aware of it.
No, I mean, the problem itself, I see
Oh,
a lot with Gen
okay.
Zs.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about terminologies. Like, I'm not going to say her name, but somebody who helps us in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Constantly taking pictures of herself and uploading it to social media and stuff.
Yeah. Like,
So-
we didn't have this challenge growing up, the selfie stuff, and
Right.
yeah. And but on the other hand, for men, it's about, like, I don't think a man desires being desired as much as he desires looking at women, right? Would you say?
I'd say, yeah, there's some truth to
Yeah.
that.
Except for men who keep like posting pictures of themselves in the gym, flexing and whatever. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah. And so there is a time and a place for that, right? When you're building a matrimonial profile, of course, you want to look your best. You want to share a picture with good lighting and things like that. So the question to be asking yourself is, are you searching a spouse or are you searching for an audience?
Hey, if you have a story to tell, we'd love to have you on. Here you'll find a safe space of listeners who can understand what you're going through. Just shoot us an email with a summary of your story at info@halalmatch.ca.
So needless to say, this overstimulation with social media or even movies, TV shows that's been going on for decades has left an impact on us. Not just millennials, but also Gen Z, I would say, too. And
Especially single Muslims.
yeah, especially single Muslims. So number one, desensitization. That we've become so desensitized to beauty that we're always trying to find somebody or compare somebody to the last model we saw or the last actress that we saw.
Yeah.
Right?
That we can't appreciate real people anymore. Like, I don't know, you see a girl with a pimple or a guy with, I don't know, a big nose, then no, absolutely not. I'm not gonna consider them for marriage.
Right.
Right?
We need a symmetrical face.
A
like Brad
symmetrical
Pitt.
face, a flawless skin, I don't know, the perfect proportions, or like the smallest thing that makes us human, because there's no perfect human. The smallest
Right.
thing that makes us human, we just see it as abnormal.
I think the problem is that we've subconsciously associated attraction with that. So now we're no longer attracted to kind of the quote unquote flaws that you're referring to, but we're attracted to this idealistic version of beauty now.
Like, I remember one of our clients, we presented, I don't know, 5 girls to him.
Oh my.
And
yes.
to be honest,
and on the call, within a minute, he would just say very bluntly, I'm not attracted to her.
And
I'm not
like, I felt that he had this like specific image, perfect image in his head that like the girls we presented did not meet. Even though, mashallah, none of them was like overweight, none of them was disfigured or anything. They all looked like normal girls. But it wasn't enough.
Yeah. Well, needless to say, he did eventually find a
Alhamdulillah.
girl, alhamdulillah, on his own and got married. So, number 2, Comparison culture. Oh, yes. That, I mean, if you're on social media, then you're definitely going to be a victim to comparison culture at some point in your life.
Yeah. Like you want the hijabi girl that looks like the hijabi influencer you follow. You want the scholar, like the scholar man who looks so perfect with his flawless beard and, I don't know, the blonde beard or the blue eyes or whatever.
Right.
So normal things don't seem normal anymore.
Yeah. And of course, the result of that is a lack of appreciation for simplicity.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's not just that. I mean, I think we've talked about this in the social media episode where just like you can't appreciate the simple things anymore, right? Like a person has to have a house, a car, like an expensive car, a big house, et cetera, and the list goes on. And here comes along a guy that doesn't have those things, but he has character and
ambition.
And yes, he might have like, I don't know, a birthmark on his head or something like that. But you've subconsciously developed this unrealistic expectation in terms of what he must physically look like. And this guy that is proposing doesn't meet that.
Because we're conditioned for spectacle. We're looking for that small thing. We're looking for the flaw, for that one flaw that would make this the wrong choice.
Or like we've talked about the default no
yeah.
mindset.
So it is challenging times, honestly. It was simpler for us. It was way simpler for us.
And our parents' generation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But we talked about that yesterday. I mean, just because it was simpler doesn't mean that they were happy. You know, we could dedicate an episode to that.
Yeah, actually.
Now that I think about it. Let's dismantle a few modern myths. So myth number 1, looking doesn't hurt anyone. Does it? Or does it not? It does. It hurts your ability to connect, right?
Yeah, to connect sincerely, actually.
Yeah, so if you're looking lustfully constantly at women, or if girls are doing the same thing, then what's happening as a result of that?
You're losing the ability to connect on a human level besides the surface level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. And you know what? This topic actually, the topic of lowering the gaze and looking lustfully and all of that, it relates to an interview, inshallah, a topic we will be recording in the next 2 weeks with Dr. Fahad Khan about pornography addiction in the Muslim, like for Muslims, especially for single Muslims, and how that can impact the future marriage. So it starts with the lustful look. It starts with just letting go of any boundaries, and then it might lead to that.
Yeah. Myth number 2, it's impossible to lower your gaze in this era. Not true. Not true at all. Again, like we said, lowering the gaze doesn't mean you're just looking down at the concrete everywhere you go, right? It's about creating boundaries. It's about not looking lustfully. It's about being conscious of what you're looking at.
Exactly. It's about awareness, having self-awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Myth number 3, women don't struggle with gaze. I don't know. I feel like you could talk about that.
No, we do struggle with gaze.
Yeah.
We do. Maybe not much.
I'm not a woman. That's why I said I'm not going to elaborate on that.
Yeah. But maybe not as much as men do. But you remember, this reminds me of a funny story. So I don't know, 15 years ago or something, it was the beginning of this new thing in the Arab world, which is Turkish TV series that were like voiced over. What is the word? Voiced over in Arabic?
Dubbed over.
Exactly. Yeah. In a Syrian accent.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
And there was this show that it was called Noor, Noor Muhannad, this couple. And the guy, he was, mashallah, super handsome, mashallah.
Oh, you've talked about this before.
And oh my, you know how many women got divorced, how many marriages broke because of Muhannad?
Really?
Yes, because women, this is just to like, it goes to the point you were mentioning that women might not like struggle with this thing. The guy was so handsome, and like it was the first time that something like this, a Turkish show, like with all their traditions that are different from Arabs, is introduced to the Arab world. And women just started comparing their husbands. A lot of homes were wrecked because of Muhammad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Poor guy. It's not his fault, though.
It's not his fault. It's not his fault, of
Poor
course.
guy. No, I feel bad for the guy.
No, why? I feel bad for the husbands.
I feel bad for the husbands, too.
Yeah.
But, wow. And didn't you say it was like when women saw this man, they would like pass out?
Oh my God. So there was a red carpet thing and he came to one of the Arab countries, I can't remember. And women, oh my God, they were like, it's crazy. It's like it's the first time they ever see a handsome man.
Wow.
But this is tied to another topic. Not just that, but women are not fulfilled in their marriages. If a woman is fulfilled in her marriage, emotionally, physically, mentally, then no gorgeous man will make her act this way, right?
Of course. And it just proves the point that women lust just as much as men do, I guess.
Yeah, to all my Arabs out there, if you remember that time of Noor and Muhannad, let me know in the comments.
Myth number 4. Lowering your gaze means being antisocial. It definitely doesn't. And what it teaches instead is discernment. When to look away, how to look. It sets boundaries.
This reminds me of some convert stories I came across of women who converted to Islam.
Yeah.
And when they're asked about why did you decide to wear the hijab or even the niqab, they say because I want men to treat me or to deal with my brains, with my intelligence and
my
intellect, my character, and not based on how I look. Yeah, subhanallah.
We're all human. But the point is that we make an effort to be conscious of it, that we try to be aware of the environment that we're living in, especially now that we are more into the digital age than back when I was trying to get married. And we create parameters and boundaries around this.
Yeah, so it's not about being perfect, where even the most righteous of us are gonna slip.
Yeah.
But it's about trying your best to go back to the path.
Yes.
And creating that self-awareness. When you feel weak, realize that and don't let it suck you into this endless loop or hole.
Right. So a good analogy to think of is that just understanding that we're swimming in this flood of images and lowering the gaze is building a raft. Right?
That's a nice one.
Yeah. So, do you think we've lost our sensitivity to beauty because of this overstimulation, or just redirected it?
That's a deep question.
Yeah.
I'd love to read some answers. Even if you guys don't feel like leaving a comment, you're always welcome to send us your thoughts, your reflections in an email at info@halalmatch.ca. And inshallah, we will see you in the next one.
All right. Take care, guys.
Assalamu alaikum.